Okay, hi, everybody. I walk in late. So I call the meeting of November 7th, 2022 to order at 6:03. Sorry about that. Will the clerk please call the roll? Do the Pledge of Allegiance? Sure, let's do that.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. There you go, Michelle.
Potato,
Here.
Brown,
Here.
Cole,
Here.
Hochstetter,
Here.
Newman,
Here.
Reed,
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Everyone's here and accounted for. Consent agenda. Will the clerk please read the consent agenda?
Item number 1, resolution number 1642, Nisqually Jail Services Agreement. Item 2, resolution number 1643, Department of Commerce Grant Acceptance. Item number 3, Stewart Road Bridge Easement Acquisition, Potelco. Item 4, resolution number 1644, Grant Acceptance Seismic Horizontal Curve and Roadway Safety Improvements. Item 5, approval of the regular council minute meeting and special study session minutes of October 17, 2022, and minutes from the 24th of October, 2022 study session. Item 6, Main and Wood Intersection Improvements, Construction Management Services Agreement.
Thank you. Will Deputy Mayor Hochstetter please make a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Yes, I move to adopt the consent agenda as read.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Newman. It's been moved and seconded. Would any council member wish to remove an item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, passes unanimous. All right, we will move on to ordinance number 2838, the 2023-2024 biennial budget. We have a public hearing. I will open the public hearing at 6:06. And I will call on Chief Financial Officer Cassandra Raymond.
Okay, so my apologies, sorry about that. So before us this evening is ordinance 2838. This is a public hearing for our 2023-2024 biennial budget. We are finally in the home stretch. Under the revised Code of Washington, we're required to hold both a preliminary and a final hearing on the budget. This is the first hearing, with the final hearing scheduled for December 5th of 2022, and adoption of the 23-24 biennial budget also scheduled for December 5th of 2022. The 2023-24 biennial budget has been made available to the public via the city's website. It's also listed on our Sumner Connects page, along with handouts from all of the study sessions that we've been hosting since we began this process earlier this year. We reviewed this in City Council study session on September 12th, September 19th, September 26th, October 3rd, October 10th, October 17th, and October 24th. Additionally, we held a public hearing on the ad valorem property tax revenue for tax year 2023 on October 17th of 2022. The 2023-24 biennial budget for all budgeted funds is $216,925,999 in regular revenues and beginning of fund balance, and $216,925,099 in appropriated expenditures and ending fund balance. So we do have a balanced budget under our CW, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for Cassandra? Councilmember Potato, did you have a question? No? Any questions? No questions. Thank you. Do we have any questions from the public on this? Any questions online? Seeing none, I think you're off the hook.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Mayor, would you like to officially close the hearing, please?
Yes. I will close the hearing at 6:14. Okay, now we are heading to the Riverwalk Trail Vacation Public Hearing. And I will open the hearing at 6:09. Something like that.
I'm going to put an image up on the screen, so I'm just going to hold off a moment before I start. Thanks, Jeff. So I want to apologize in advance for this long-winded presentation, but I think that for this topic, it's really important to give the council all of the history about this section of trail, and then share more about the rationale behind this decision to initiate the right-of-way vacation process. So in 1993, the section of trail shown in red on the map was dedicated to the city. This was a condition of the development of the condos. It is the only public section of trail along the river in this area. And by public, I mean owned by the city. To the east is a gas pipeline that will never be developed or owned by the city, as well as a privately maintained section of trail that is immediately behind the apartment complex. The city does not own that. To the west is no trail. It's actually a natural grass surface. For many years after this section of trail shown in red was dedicated to the city was planning for and hoping to extend the trail in this area with plans to have the trail system go all the way to the Ording Highway. But the city fell short of being able to acquire additional property along the river, and also was unable to plan a safe pedestrian route in that location. In addition, the trail is located behind the condominium complex, and all access points to the trail contain large no trespassing private property signage. So it is the city's understanding that this prevents the greater public from accessing this stretch of trail, and that it is largely utilized by the residents who live along the trail system. I want to make one thing clear, because based on some of the comments that we received, which were very genuine comments, just because this trail section is physically accessible by pedestrians does not mean that it's publicly accessible. The city does not own any of the area around the stretch of trail shown in red. So while folks can access it and do, it is not necessarily legal access. The city is not providing access to that trail on either side. But the city, by agreement, has always maintained the surface of the pavement. The vegetation and the cleanup after flood events and all other maintenance responsibilities are that of the HOA. And that's by this 1993 agreement that I referenced. Despite that agreement, annually, the city is requested to conduct maintenance of that trail. Come in and grind tree roots, repave the surface, more than just natural maintenance of the surface. And it has become quite burdensome to our staff. As far back as 2010, the former Public Works Director, Bill Pugh, reached out to the HOA in an attempt to remove the paved surface. The city recommended that it be removed because it's never been the safest or most appropriate surface, given its proximity to surrounding heavily rooted trees and its proximity to the river, which impacts the trail surface during large flood events. It is virtually covered in mud after a high flood event. The HOA at the time was adamant against the removal of the paved surface, so it remained. Since that time, the paved trail has continued to exist and the city continues to maintain it no less than annually. In May of 2022, I began this discussion about vacating this stretch of trail by first contacting the board president, Don Hall. And I explained to him the city's intent to initiate this process. I explained that the trail is not widely accessed by or utilized by the greater public, and that the city's initial plans to extend the trail system in this location have fallen short. Through my many conversations with Don, we discussed and provided the HOA with two options. The first was to remove the paved trail surface and restore the area to its natural condition, much like the area next to it, which is just grass. So the city would have hydro-seeded it after removing the paved surface. The second option was to repave it one last time, fix all the trip hazards, and restore it to a nice asphalt paved surface. I explained that by repaving the surface, if that was the option that the HOA board elected, that the HOA would be taking on a more expensive maintenance obligation into the future. The HOA then retained legal counsel, who I spoke to on many occasions. Her name's Katie Martinez with the Condominium Law Group. And through our conversation, she relayed to me the HOA board's desire to have the surface repaved one last time before we began this right-of-way vacation process. The city did that in October, and it is currently freshly repaved. Vacating this strip of trail removes the city from the obligation of continuing to maintain a landlocked stretch of trail. It's utilized mostly by the private homeowners, and that will not change after this right-of-way vacation. I want to make that clear. The city isn't removing it or prohibiting access to it, but the city will no longer own it. It has always been an asset to the Riverwalk Homeowners Association and condominium owners, and less of a publicly accessible trail that's utilized by the public as a whole. So right-of-way vacations are governed by state law. Typically, it requires that the property owner that is receiving the vacated property pay up to 50% of the assessed value of the property. In this particular instance, and case law supports this, the city is recommending that we vacate this stretch of trail free of charge. And that is because the HOA has, since 1993, shared in the maintenance responsibilities of this stretch of trail. It is different than most other public right-of-way, where the city is fully responsible for the maintenance of the trail. So the city is recommending that we vacate it free of charge. I did receive several comments prior to today's public hearing. I heard from Edwin Lytle 2 times. I heard from Jennifer Bowder, Millie Donahue, Jackie Willoughby, Joshua Clausen, and Patricia Tranholt. So I wanted to put their names into the record in case they don't speak tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions? Go ahead.
If I might, honorable.
You want to come up to the microphone and state your name and address?
Mayor, if you could have the clerk read. Honorable council people and honorable city attorney. My name is Don Hall.
Can we have 1 second?
Yes.
Michelle, could we read the rules for public comment, please?
This is just a clarification in what was reported.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. We're good. She just needs to read those.
This time is reserved for the public hearing on the topic identified on tonight's agenda. Please begin your comments by stating for the record, your name and address for the city where you reside. You have 3 minutes to speak. And as a reminder, this portion of the meeting is the council's opportunity to hear from the community and not a time to engage in debate.
Mhm.
The council will not address any questions.
Don Hall, my address is 7611 145th Avenue Court East. I'm in the Riverwalk. It was mentioned that I was the point of contact as board president. I'm not the board president. I was tasked by the board to reach out to the city attorney to begin the dialogue. So I just want to clarify that I'm not the board president. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak on this? Anybody else? All right.
Yes, my name is Ed Lytle, and
I live in Riverwalk, 7523, 145th Avenue East, and I'm on the river. One of the things I wanted to clarify, that there's talk that the people on the river are using the path. 90% of the people that are on that, using that path are people from the other areas coming down. Very few people in our area use it. People will walk their dogs down there, but not much more than that. We recognize that if we handle it, it's going to be probably a big expense for us to take care of this path, which we could do, but it would take a lot of shovels unless we had new earth put in there, as was suggested before. And I think it may be kind of off the table now, but it is one area that the people in there cannot go out and handle shovels and things like that to get it done. So it would be a big expense for us to add that to our list of things that need to be paid for. And I really can't say much more than that, because for myself, I've enjoyed the area, but I've seen where the path has been abused. In some cases, people walking their dogs. We have to go out and sometimes pick up the crap that's out there. And it's one of those things that you don't like to do. The opposite side down there always looks nice, where they took the path away because of the blacktop that was put down there and everything. So I really don't have much more to say than that, but I think that there are reasons that we should try to get it covered somehow, at putting new dirt in and stuff like that and taking the old path out. I think it would behoove us to make it as nice as possible down there.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I also live in Riverwalk, John Harrington, 7524 145th Avenue East, Sumner. I would hope that, and the summary was very good. The part of the trail to the west has been taken out, and it's now natural, which is the way the whole thing should be, because it's a trail that isn't going anywhere. And I would hope that, I don't know if it's too late or not, but I hope not, that you could try to work with the board and make sure that they contacted the rest of the residents, because COVID kind of threw things in a blender and somebody pressed puree. So I was not aware of this, but the only logical thing to me is that it gets covered over like the other half of the trail. And right now, we're thrown in limbo, and I'm thinking, am I going to be bankrupt or what here? Because here's a stretch of trail that, well, okay, it flooded a little bit a week ago. There's a drain pipe in front of our house, goes from the sidewalk to the riverbank. The river doesn't have to crest the bank for that sidewalk to flood, because there's no flap on the end of that pipe, and the river shoots up and we get 2 feet of silt water on the sidewalk, and the river hasn't flooded. So now we've got this mess. If there's some way we can have a do-over and backtrack, I don't know, maybe not, but that would be my hope, because the trail goes nowhere. It can't go anywhere. It should revert back to nature. We're just, the ecology of the thing doesn't make sense. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, that's all I have on my list. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 6:22. And moving on to unfinished business, resolution number 1640, tax year 2023 ad valorem property tax. Councilmember Botetto, would you like to make a motion?
I make a motion to adopt resolution number 1640, tax year 2023, ad valorem property tax.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Seconded by Council Deputy Mayor Hochstetter, and I will call on Chief Financial Officer Cassandra Raymond.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. So good evening, Cassandra Raymond, Chief Financial Officer. Before you tonight is Resolution 1640. This is setting the ad valorem property tax levy for tax year 2023 at approximately 97 cents per thousand of assessed valuation. In developing the property tax levy for tax year 2023, City Council has reviewed the city's financial position, including the current economic environment, budget needs, considered the impact on both residences and businesses, and discussed the property tax levy at the Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of October 5th, 2022, the City Council study sessions of October 10th and 24th, and held a public hearing on October the 17th. For 2023, the total levy at 97 cents rounded per 1,000 of assessed valuation would be $4,832,497. Of that amount levied, $330,000 would be reserved for leveraging for street projects. An additional $350,000 shall be reserved for City Council appropriation through the budget process or the budget amendment process. This is known as the City Council Strategic Reserve Funds. As mandated by RCW, a public hearing was held October 17th of 2022. That hearing process provides Sumner residents with the opportunity to voice their opinions prior to the adoption of that property tax levy. We are required to certify that levy to the Pierce County Assessor Treasurer no later than November the 30th of 2022. And with the mayor's permission, I do have a presentation that I'd like to move through.
There we are.
Okay, now that I've learned this. So just a little bit about our property tax. This is our most stable revenue source. It makes up about 21% of the general fund revenue in 2023. The largest source is, of course, our sales tax revenue, which is also the most volatile. So we do quite a bit depend on the stability of our property tax. Again, kind of how we got here. We start off in September with the receipt of our preliminary assessed valuation numbers from Pierce County. We put together a variety of information. We bring it to the Finance and Personnel Committee at that October meeting. We then came to City Council at the study sessions of October 10th, again in October 24th. And in between those, held a public hearing on October the 17th. We have our resolution before you tonight for consideration. And again, we have to pass our resolution and then certify our levy request to Pierce County no later than November the 30th. When we're looking at property tax under state law, RCW authorizes taxing districts with a population of 10,000 or more to increase the levy request up to 1% from the highest lawful levy since 1985. It's a little bit cumbersome when you're looking at it. What we have done in practice, historically, we have not levied our full amount. And so by practice, we've increased 1% over our prior year's levy amount. The difference between what the city's requested levy and the maximum levy amount is called bank capacity. It's kind of a misnomer. It's not an emergency reserve. This isn't a bucket of funds that accrues from year to year. It's recalculated annually as part of Pierce County certification. And then we reserve that capacity or the ability to levy in future years through language in our property tax resolution. When we look at our property tax distribution, property tax is levied by a variety of taxing districts throughout the region. We receive about 8% of the overall property tax assessment. We have our breakout here. Distributions in red are voter approved. We can see that the Sumner Bonnie Lake School District receives between 41 and 49%. East Pierce Fire and Rescue about 14%. The remainder is split between Sound Transit, Washington State, Conservation Futures, the Library District. Again, there's a lot of taxing districts that make up the overall property tax assessment. When we get our preliminary certification from Pierce County, the first thing we look at is our assessed valuation. We had citywide about a 16% increase in assessed valuation. We also look at the assessed valuation of a single family residence. These are numbers provided by Pierce County for the average. And again, it was about a 16% increase. The other piece of data that we looked at was of our total assessed valuation, the 4.9 billion. What was the makeup between our MIC, our Manufacturing and Industrial Center, versus our versus the other parts of the city? And our MIC picks up about 56% of our overall assessed valuation. So what we are bringing forth in this resolution is an increase to our maximum levy amount. This is a 9.5% increase. I apologize, that number sounds draconian. I am required to kind of talk about it in terms of the percentage increase, but when we look at the numbers, we look at our tax year 2022 levy. The increase over tax year 2022 is about $403,000. Additionally, we can levy revenue from our new construction and improvements, as well as administrative refunds. It gives us a total tax year 2023 levy of $4,832,497. This works out to roughly 97 cents per thousand. This is a monthly change from 2022 for an average single-family residence of $5.07. We also looked at these numbers in relation to what is the difference between levying 1% to levying our full levy amount. And the increase in this case to the general fund, by levying the full amount, we would increase $360,778. We also wanted to look at that average homeowner impact between levying from 2022 to 2023. Again, looking at the average assessed valuations, these are numbers provided by Pierce County. Our average single-family home increased in AV by about $72,000. Our levy rate goes down, but because the property tax assessment is the math between the assessed valuation divided by 1,000 multiplied by the levy rate, we see a levy amount and a lift for the average single-family resident of about $60 annually, or $507 a month. We also, again, looked at what was the lift between a 1% change and the 9.5% change. And again, because those numbers sound huge, we're talking about, 1% to 9.5%. It's just, it sounds pretty impactful. The average increase for the average homeowner annually would be $37.31, and the monthly increase for the average homeowner would be $3.11. One of the biggest questions we've been hearing throughout this process is, does this raise my total property tax bill by 9.5%? And I understand. I mean, that's really what the first thought would be. It does not. The city portion of the total property tax bill is 8.4%. A 9.5% increase on that 8.4 would bring the city portion of the total property tax bill to 9.2%. So we're talking about a difference of 0.8% on the total property tax bill. What I would encourage all of our residents to do, if you don't know that the resource is out there, if you go to Pierce County's, the Assessor Treasurer website, you can search for your property and you can see the distribution of your property tax and see exactly where it is going on an annual basis. Again, we are required to certify to Pierce County by November the 30th, 2022. And I am happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Cassandra? Seeing none,
Thank you.
thank you. Councilmember Newman, did you have an amendment?
Yes, I do. Sorry. I was thinking about process for a second. Yeah, I would like to make a motion to amend the resolution 1640 to reflect a 3% property tax increase instead of the 9.5%, and ask that all necessary provisions of the resolution be updated accordingly.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Seconded by Councilmember Reed. All right. Would you
Yeah,
like
I'd
to?
like to speak to it. Yes. I have, I would say, empathy for the city in our list of unmet needs that we've gone through, over the last several weeks. But I don't think that that is a sufficient enough reason for us to not try and dig a little bit deeper before we provide an almost 10% increase on property taxes for citizens for the city portion. I want to make sure that everyone has understood that it's not talking about 10% increase over all property taxes. The city does only get 8%, but still, I think with the gas and the groceries and inflation and interest rates and just everything going on at this time, it does not rub me the right way to try to also add another 10%, and I would like to see if we could make do with 3%.
Okay, are there any discussion among council members? Councilmember Reed.
Thank you, Mayor. I know I've previously stated in council sessions that I don't agree with using our bank capacity. Once the bank capacity is gone, the next source or some of the next sources of new revenue are increased sales taxes, utility fees, and permit fees. We had a healthy budget for 2022 with a $900,000 to $1.1 million sales tax surplus. And we're likely to meet or exceed that number again in 2023 with two new major sales tax contributors coming on board. I believe we should cover the unfunded items in the 2023 budget as sales tax surpluses are realized. Those items have already been evaluated and moved to the side as unfunded or can wait. And I think we can fund those as the surpluses materialize. Thank you.
Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. I had trouble hearing Councilmember Newman's amendment. What was the, can you repeat that? And Mayor, I can hardly hear you too, and my computer's turned all the way up.
Yes, Councilmember Stewart, I was proposing that instead of an almost 9.5% increase, that we modify it to a 3% increase on the city's portions of property taxes.
And so Cassandra, do you happen to know with quick math what that means in terms of the average homeowner's tax bill?
Mayor, if I could ask a question real quick.
Yeah.
While she's pulling that, Mr. Reed, are you having the same audio problems?
Mine is lower than usual, but I can hear if I really concentrate.
Okay, we'll take a look on our end. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Stewart, so at a 3% increase, the impact to the average single-family home would be an additional $32.34 annually, or $2.69 per month. And then the change in the general fund would be, so the change in the numbers I'm giving are the difference between 3% and 9.5%. The change in the general fund is $275,615. The change between the 3% and the 9.5% for the average single-family residence is $28.50 per year, or $2.37 per month.
Thank you. My comment for this is, while it's well-intentioned and to try to have the numbers reduced, the actual amount of the reduction is insignificant in my mind, given the fact that the public has voted for the majority of their property tax bill to be what it is, the red number or the red things on this graph. So I support I would vote against the amendment and keep it the same. The problem with reducing taxes, we came through a very difficult time about 10 years ago where we didn't increase taxes at all. And we ended up paying for it in the long run by having things fall apart. Our infrastructure was weakened. Buildings needed substantial repair. And this 9.5% is not even keeping up with inflation. So I think we need to look long-term at this and do what's best for the city. Thank you.
All right, any other comment? Councilmember Cole, did you have a comment?
Yes, I do. I have really put a lot of thought to this, and I've actually gone back and forth on it. And I am reluctant to vote for anything where higher taxes will be involved, a higher cost to individuals within the city. But I also, well, at least in my opinion, and as a homeowner, an extra $5 a month is not a huge amount, especially when you think about city services and what it will possibly do down the line to city services. And so I will not vote for the amendment. I would like to keep it at the 9.5%.
Any other comments from the council?
Councilmember Brown.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes, I agree with Ms. Newman. We just raised utility rates in summer. Everything has increased and everything went by. We don't need to nickel and dime the citizens to death. 3 bucks here, 2 bucks there, it all adds up. So I am in favor of 3% over 9.5%.
Thank you. Any other comment? Councilmember Newman.
I do have one more, sorry, regardless of how this turns out, while I think, Mr. Stewart and I probably disagree on what the outcome should be for tonight, where I do agree is that it should be kind of serve as a lesson to us. I think because the last several years in a row, we have only increased them the minimum of 1% each year. And that puts us in the difficult position of some feeling compelled that we might need to raise the 10%. And it might behoove us to, in the future, act more, I would say, in a moderate, like less extreme way of considering like 2 or 3% each year, so that there are these gradual, we can sort of ease into and continue to meet growing needs rather than have these more extreme abrupt hikes. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councilmember Reed.
Thank you, Mayor. And in all due respect to Councilmember Newman, the 1% per year that we've been approving since the last large increase has actually been, we've had a stable and healthy budget each of those years with strong forecast for the upcoming bienniums as each 2 years goes by. That's why I've been in opposition of digging deeper into that bank capacity when we already have a healthy revenue system.
Anybody else? Okay, so we are going to call for a vote on the amendment. Michelle?
Cole,
No.
Brown,
Yes.
Reed. Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Stewart,
No.
Hochstetter,
No.
Potato,
No.
Newman.
Yes.
Okay, the amendment fails 4-3. So now we will go back and we will take a vote on resolution number 1640 as written. We had a public hearing on this, so we will not take public comment tonight. So Michelle, can you call the roll on the resolution 1640?
Newman,
No.
Reed,
No.
Brown,
No.
Potato,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Passes 4-3. Thank you. Okay, now we are moving on to public comment. So the public was encouraged to submit their comments to the city clerk by email before tonight's meeting, so the clerk may read those mails received into the record. Michelle, were there any public comments received?
No, Mayor, there were not.
Does anybody in the public care to say anything? And the public has left the room. Okay, so let's move on to new business.
Mayor,
Yes,
for procedures, can you just ask the people at home if they want to provide comment, they need to use the raise your hand feature.
does anybody at home wish to speak?
You're good.
All right. So now we have an appointment for Cultural Arts Commissioner. Councilmember Cole, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I make a motion to approve the mayoral appointment of Ann Van Lierop to the Cultural Arts Commission for a term of 4 years expiring April of 2026.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
And I will call on Ryan Windish.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Tonight is the appointment and confirmation for Miss Van Lierop. She's the owner of the Van Lierop Garden Market and has numerous years of community involvement. She's currently a board member of the Sumner Main Street Association and has historical experience of downtown events, not to mention daily interaction with customers, residents, and other business owners. As you all know, the Sumner Cultural Arts Commission consists of 15 members who are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by City Council. The members are to be selected without respect to political affiliations and serve without compensation. Happy to
Thank
answer any
you.
questions.
And Ms. Van Lierop was unable to attend tonight. So do we have any member of the public that would like to speak about this? Seeing none. I'm excited myself to have somebody, a business owner actually on the Arts Commission. I think that's going to add to, you know, they're there, they see what's going on and they might have some good input on that. So I'm excited about that.
No.
You have a comment? Okay, Cindy.
Yes, I want to welcome Ann Van Lierop. She's a very artistic person, and I think that this is her field, and I think she'll be a real asset to our Cultural Art Commission. So thank you for joining and giving your time to the community.
Thank you. Any other comments from the council? All right, any comments Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reed,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Stewart,
yes,
Brown.
yes,
Thank you. Passes unanimous. Moving on to resolution number 1641, terminating COVID-19 emergency proclamation. We will call on city administrator.
Would you like a motion
Jason.
first, Mayor?
What? I would like a motion for that, yes. Councilmember Stewart, would you like to make a motion?
thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt resolution number 1641, terminating the city's emergency proclamation related to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Hochstetter. Now we'll call on Jason Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Jason Wilson, your city administrator. I am once again before you to talk about the COVID-19 pandemic, although it's a little bit different tonight. So 971 days ago, on March 11th, 2020, at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, Mayor William Pugh declared a state of emergency in the city of Sumner. The pandemic's impacts are decreasing, and in response to Governor Jay Inslee's termination of the state emergency declaration on October 31st, it is now appropriate for the city to terminate their emergency proclamation. We have largely been operating outside of the emergency proclamation as normal. However, many of the policies and procedures related to employees were contained within the pandemic rules and procedures that were implemented as part of the emergency declaration. The mayor and I are recommending that all employee-related provisions be repealed with the exception of emergency sick leave. Emergency sick leave is an additional 40 hours of sick leave that is provided to fully vaccinated employees who test positive for COVID-19. For reference, 6% of our staff have tested positive for COVID in the last 60 days. So clearly the city is still dealing with the impacts of the pandemic. The resolution before you tonight would keep emergency sick leave in place through June 30th, 2023. However, it will modify the eligibility requiring proof of a COVID vaccine or booster within the preceding 6 months of the employee's positive test. All other quarantine and isolation rules have been set forth through the Department of Labor and Industries, and the city continues to diligently follow them. I'm happy to answer any questions from you.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Wilson? Seeing none, do we have any comments from the public? Okay, seeing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Brown,
yes,
Reed,
Yes.
Stewart.
yes,
All right, passes unanimous. Okay, moving on to reports. Councilmember Newman.
I want to thank the fire department and our public works department and everyone else who helped while we had the fire downtown. I have a lot of friends who lost businesses, lost jobs, not to mention now it's a horrible, tragic view out of my apartment every morning. But anyway, we would just thank everyone for helping while we're going through some losses that we haven't experienced in a long time.
Councilmember Cole.
Yes, there was on October 19th a special. Thank you. There was on October 19th a special Rainier Communications Commission meeting. And I want to give just a quick update on that meeting. The sole purpose of that meeting was, it was really a working discussion about the future of the RCC's interlocal agreement. And Pierce County mentioned or started the meeting just sort of giving us an overall picture that the services that are provided through this interlocal agreement, that the services provided by the agreement desired by the membership was a little different from what was actually being offered. There are some legal issues involved. And so they wanted to start looking at other methods. And so other models and, excuse me. And so there was a discussion about possibly disbanding the RCC. And the member jurisdictions were allowed to provide some talking points. And there were some for the city of Sumner, which I was able to relay, and most of the other jurisdictions pretty much said the same thing. And they were, we do not support resolving the RCC. We like having a say in the RCC because it's a good collaborative relationship. And we appreciate the work of the RCC, and it is working really well. So that was, there was no vote or anything. And at this point, that we are still under the old agreement that exists today.
Thank you.
And I have one other thing that I agreed to participate on part of the selection panel as for a community representative for a regional force investigation team. That's through the Public Safety Committee.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Hochstetler.
Yes, first of all, I want to thank our fire department, our police, and our city staff for responding so quickly and thoroughly to the downtown tragedy we had, the big fire. And I'm just really thankful that no one was hurt. And I'm really hoping that our businesses will be able to reopen. So everybody be as supportive of them as you can. And our homecoming parade was a great success. It was just a lot of excitement and a lot of fun on a day that a lot of people were sad too, but the kids were well behaved. Even some of the adults were well behaved. So I hope that everybody had as good a time as I did. Thank you.
Councilmember Potato.
Yeah, it's, the fire really impacted so many people. And it's great to hear that at the Sumner High School homecoming parade, they raised over $3,300. And then Sumner Rotary also gave $3,200 to the Sumner Main Street Association to help out with people in businesses. And then last week, the Center for Strong Families was opened at the Sumner Bonnie Lake Family Center. And it's a great tool. They have financial aid and also help people with getting jobs. And we heard from a young lady that she was, kind of got lost in the system, but with help from that Center for Strong Families, she's able to go to college, and she said she got an A on her first English assignment, which really excited her, and it gives her support that she'll be able to move on and probably be able to have a very successful life.
Councilmember Brown.
Yeah, yes, it is sad about the fire. My wife and I were just at the tavern, sorry about that, but about 7 days before it occurred. And so it's sad to see that happen. And puppy owners, pick up your poop.
Councilmember Reed.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank the firefighters and everybody that was involved in helping the downtown businesses and the residents and families. It's a tragedy for the city, and hopefully I've seen the term Sumner Strong being used quite a bit going around, and I really expect that people will take heart and be able to not only recover, but others to help them recover in some fashion. I also wanted to do a shout out for the Sumner High School Marching Band. This weekend during the Auburn Veterans Parade, Sumner High School took the grand sweepstakes, which is best overall for not only the Veterans Day Parade, in combination with the subsequent competition that took place afterward. And congratulations to Sumner.
Thank you. Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you. I echo the comments of tragedy about the fire. It was really sad. I was on site taking some pictures for my own, and I walked all the way around the building. It was just horrible. And the impact on people and the businesses and the residents in that area, hopefully they can all recover quickly. And I'm sorry I was not able to attend the homecoming parade. I'm sure it was fun for everybody, and congratulations to the Sumner High School band. Thank you.
All right. Oh. Okay, so Jason.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to kind of echo all the council members' nice comments about the fire response. I have a lot of great stories to share at the special study session immediately following this meeting. Staff will be reviewing with you the city response and recovery plan moving forward. So hang tight on that. Coming up at next week's study session, South Sound 911 will be here to give an update on everything that they are working on. South Sound 911 is our regional PSAP, so they answer all the 911 calls throughout the county for both police and fire. After that, we'll be talking about our 2023 legislative agenda, and our lobbyist, Bill Clark, will also be present. And then we will be wrapping up the final, or the 2023-2024 budget. And really, this is your last opportunity to ask staff any questions about what's in the budget or propose any changes to the budget. The regular council meeting on November 21st has been canceled. That's the week of Thanksgiving. And then we'll hold a study session on November 28th, where we'll discuss the 21-22 final budget amendment, 0 lot line subdivisions, the police officer wellness program, and then we will have an executive session that night to discuss some labor issues. As Councilmember Cole mentioned, we are looking for a new community rep on our Pierce County Force Investigation team. This is something that is required by law, that each city has a representative that represents their community to serve as a liaison for deadly force investigations by police. It's not just here within the city of Sumner. If you are the community rep, you might serve any city within the county. To apply, there's more information on our website, where you can reach out to Chief Muricky if you have specific questions. His phone number is 253-299-5641. I also need to give a plug for Sumner Alert. We have used it probably 5 times since we went live with it. Most recently, obviously, with the fire. We did send out community notifications warning residents about power outages, roadway closures, and smoke. Encourage you, if you have not signed up for Sumner Alert and you're listening to this, visit our website, click on Community Alerts, or Sumner Alert rather, and follow the process to get signed up for that notification system. And then, because this is our last regular council meeting of this month, I want to go over some of the community events that are going on that encourage everybody to come out and participate in. The first one is Hometown Holidays. This is a downtown event on November 12th from 10 to 5. Following that is Small Business Saturday on November 26th, which that's a Saturday after Thanksgiving. That's also 10 to 5. And then bridge lighting returns this year. It's been a few years since we've done bridge lighting, so we're excited to have that back. That is also the Saturday after Thanksgiving on the 26th. Bridge lighting is actually at 5 p.m. with fireworks. However, festivities start at 3 o'clock. And then last, we have the Santa Parade on December 3rd at 3 p.m. That'll be going down Main Street. So there'll be more information provided to council when we can get closer about how you can participate in that event. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Wilson? Barbara?
Can you go over the December schedule? Because it's, from what I understand, we just have the council meeting.
Yes, as of right now, you only have the regular meeting on December 5th scheduled. If we run into some challenges with budget or other policy issues, we'll address those and add meetings if necessary.
All right. Mr. Brown?
Yeah, what time is the bridge lighting?
Yeah, so the bridge lighting itself is at 5 p.m. with the fireworks, but the festivities start at 3.
On 26th.
Correct.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
I also want to thank East Pierce for their fire skills, and I was proud because East Pierce had the longest ladder. I just want that known. The response was awesome, and the fire was terrible, but thank you for that. I also attended the Veterans Parade in Auburn, and that thing was long. I had to be there by 8:30 and I didn't get home till 4:30, and I went right home after. It was long. I had my own car with my names on the doors, but there was so many cars. I don't know how they could keep track. I mean, we were in line for over an hour just waiting to get out onto the road. So that's one big parade. They say it's the biggest parade this side of the Mississippi. So, and I believe it after that. So that is my comments, and I will adjourn this meeting, but we have a study session right after. So meeting is adjourned at 7:03.